Me talking a lot. Pleasure, as usual. So, okay. First thing I'm going to say is, yay! We're really working on all of the Washington, D.C. stuff for next year. And I think it's going to be great. Um, the rally I know is going to be great. Kathy Stokes is heading that up this year. Um, and the walks are in full swing. We're actually we're using this fundraising platform with this company called Classy to do um, all of the. I can't talk today. I think I've had a stroke. No, probably not. All of the. I'm sorry. My kid set up some lights on my monitor, and they are really blinding me, and I don't know how to turn them off. There we go. Okay, so you can do peer-to-peer fundraising, and I think we talked about that the last time we streamed. Um, so there you go. Um, what I really want to talk about today, though, are a couple of blogs I wrote. Um, we have a situation going on in this country right now. Um, the Stanford rapist. A lot of people like to call him the Stanford competitive swimmer, but I'm not doing that. Because that's not who he is to me. He is the Stanford rapist. So essentially, now if you go to smysofficial.com and click on news, you can go find my blog about Brock Allen Turner. Brock Allen Turner is a gentleman, I use that term loosely, a rapist, who is 19 years old and attacked a 23-year-old woman. And the judge thought it was appropriate to give this guy a 6-month sentence, 3 months of which he will not serve. Yeah. And what he did was he was with this girl at a party. He met the girl at the party. They weren't, no previous relationship there. And apparently told this girl he wanted to take her back to his room or something. It's unclear to me. So he essentially violated this woman next to a dumpster. He violated the woman next to a dumpster. Yes. And then decided that he was going to, I guess, I don't know, say that it would be just cool if essentially this guy is a dirtbag, okay? He is a total dirtbag. He said that this woman consented to this. He said all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty disgusting. That's all I can say. I'm hoping that my stream isn't having the same echo problem it had the other day. I'm adjusting some settings here. Also trying to find the live chat. There we are. Okay. So 6-month sentence. I just don't see it. I don't see how that would be appropriate on any planet at all. I mean, not even one planet. It just makes no sense to me. Essentially, the attorney of this child asked this girl if she habitually cheated on her boyfriend. Like, that is in any ethical universe close to what happened. I mean, this person put her on the ground next to a dumpster and was violating her. And 2 Swedish graduate students saved her and held the guy there until the police came and apparently beat him up a little, I guess. Which, I mean, if you beat up, Swedish people? Do Swedish people even beat up other Swedish people? You must have really messed up. And this judge says that he's concerned about it affecting his life, about affecting the racists. Well, there's those people too. But the rapist's life. He's concerned about affecting the rapist's life. No. That is so unbelievably ridiculous. I can't even. Why would you care? The victim wrote a 12-page response, apparently, which was super articulate and awesome. And the judge still felt compelled to give this kid a 6-month sentence. First of all, I keep saying kid because to me he is. I mean, I'm old, but he's not a kid. He's a full-grown man who held a woman down and violated her and had to be pulled off by 2 other full-grown men. So he's not a kid. He's a rapist. And the very fact that we allow this stuff to happen in this country and for it to come with a 6-month sentence equals no respect for women, equals she asked for it, equals misogyny. We really need to make sure that we do something about this. There's a petition to recall this guy. If you go to smysofficial.com, you can go to my blog under news, and the link is there. I'll paste it into chat here. Okay, here we go. I pasted the Janie Garner live stream into the group so we can see if some folks want to come and chat with us. I guess I'll put it on the page too. If you have not liked the Show Me Your Stethoscope main page, you are not cool. So this guy gets away with this. He has to register as a sex offender for life. Yes, that is true. But he's also got a rich daddy who, by the way, said that he didn't think his son should suffer forever because of 20 minutes of action. Didn't he mean 20 minutes of rape? I mean, that was rape. I'm going to paste this petition, I guess, into this chat. Okay, so apparently, and this is the one under Courage Campaign. Apparently there's like a whole bunch of different petitions. There's change.org, there's whitehouse.gov, there's all kinds of stuff. Where these, people are able to go and sign this thing. It's at Ultraviolet, this one. So, and this is Judge Persky. So if you know him, tell him he is a complete and total tool. Do I think he should be recalled? I don't know. So, because I'm really not sure exactly what the sentence is for that activity. Hi, Mary. In California, that crime. I'm familiar with Missouri's sodomy laws and sexual assault laws because I do, or I used to do. Haven't done in a while. Safe exams. I'm a SANE nurse. All I can say is this is one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard. I'm just going to say it. It's really gross. How do you justify that? Or you're going to marry somebody, but who's going to marry this guy? I mean, certainly you look people up. I know, before I accept a friend request, I look some folks up. I've totally creeped you on the internet to make sure you're not a spammer or whatever. Criminal. And, is somebody going to marry this guy eventually? What kind of sob story is he going to give to some woman that he wants to marry? Oh, yeah, she asked for it. She consented to sex next to the dumpster. I didn't get my ass kicked by 2 Swedish guys. Yeah. Okay. So, anyway, I just don't feel like it was a stiff enough sentence. I mean, this is a bad deal for this woman. I mean, she is going to know forever that her state, and for that matter, her country, did not protect her from sexual assault. I mean, I know you're innocent until proven guilty and all, but he was proven guilty because he was caught in the act. I mean, they, caught him in the act. So, pretty much, I just can't find an excuse. I cannot find anything redeeming about this judge. I signed the petition. I'm pissed. This made me angry. So, you know me. I get angry. I get all righteous. And the pitchforks. The pitchforks. All right. So I just write a strongly worded blog, but it feels like pitchforks. What am I saying? Let's see. I think this rapist's father has screwed himself with that stupid letter. At least I hope he did. Well, I hope he did too. I'm not sure what business he's in. I heard a rumor that his mom was a nurse, which, quite honestly, I mean, let's face it, anybody's kid could do something like that. I hope to God mine never will, and I hope I've raised him with enough respect for other people's private bits and, I don't know, personal space to not do that. But God, this guy, I don't know, I wouldn't want this judge in my district. I wouldn't want him deciding whether the criminals in my town got to, I don't know, go free or go to jail. I wouldn't want him deciding that. And also, the media has been hideous. Completely. I mean, stop calling him the ex-Stanford swimmer. He's the Stanford rapist. That's who he is. He is the Stanford freshman who sexually assaulted a woman. That's who he is. He's not, I don't know, 832,000 people have signed this petition. I think, I don't know, got to be something to it. I really feel like somebody should investigate that. And probably with our justice system they can't, or something, or they can't change the sentence. I don't even know. But Brock Allen Turner, I wouldn't let my daughter anywhere near you if I had one. Brock Allen Turner's dad, you're a tool. Complete and total. I understand protecting your kid. I totally get that. But you know what? You need to also protect the world from your son. You're welcome. Okay. So, yeah. I'm not sure how much I want to say about how much else I want to say about that. I mean, it's just sort of gross. That's all. The word gross keeps coming out of my, just morally bereft. Here's the link to the blog in the chat. How do you even get to that point? I mean, clothes all twisted all over the place. She's laying on the ground next to trash, where you no doubt plan to discard her. I hope he didn't plan on killing her. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there, but I don't, God, I hope that's what was going to happen. I don't even know. Let's see. I hope so too. I only have a girl. I think he would have had to be castrated along with his father. My husband said something very similar to that. He was really glad we didn't have any girls. Okay, so on the Janie Garner live stream, we are also going to discuss this Fox News report that came down last week about nurse practitioners and CRNAs at the VA. So you guys know I'm a VA employee. I work with fabulous nurse practitioners every single day. And I work with fabulous CRNAs every single day. The crap with all this is that basically Fox News took this in. I mean, it was like real yellow journalism. It basically, nurse practitioners are already doing this stuff at the VA. It's just that they're not allowed to write, like, I guess for certain prescriptions, they have to have docs sign off their notes. I'm not, it's cursory supervision is what they're getting. Okay. And they mixed the primary care stuff in with mid-anesthesia stuff. That anesthesiologist, the doctor that was talking about seeing a patient that was fine one second and then at death's door the next second, well, he's right. It happens all the time during surgery. But you know what happens? The CRNA handles it, and we place a call to the anesthesiologist who comes running. Having said that, I mean, they come and they supervise. I mean, CRNAs, they could put me to sleep. I've already picked the ones out at the VA hospital here in town if I have to get a pacemaker or something. Or, they want to evacuate all this fat. These people are on it. They're critical care nurses who go to specialized training during which they really can't work to learn how to do anesthesia. And I haven't seen too many errors. I mean, I think we've had one anesthesia complication in like 2.5 years. And it was because the patient was already sick. I mean, and you really can't blame him for that, because no matter who was sedating the patient, was anesthetizing the patient, that was going to happen. Had a pre-existing condition that caused everything to go crazy. So, actually, it's been 2 cases, but quite honestly, I mean, I'm not blaming the anesthesia provider. And frankly, CRNAs have been providing anesthesia as like the sole battlefield provider for, since World War I. So probably by now we have a pretty good idea about what CRNAs are capable of. I don't see it. I don't see why they had to take that whole settled for nurse attitude. Patients who are going to see a doctor at the VA may have to settle for a visit with a nurse. First of all, I have an associate's degree in nursing. They are not seeing me. They are not seeing a nurse who has had their practice expanded. No. They're seeing a nurse practitioner who has a master's degree, many years of experience in nursing very often. I mean, there are direct entry nurse programs, but that's the rarity. The norm is people are nurses for many years and then go back to be a nurse practitioner in their specialty. Here's Mary Bedecker, I think. I hate to butcher anybody's name. Mary, tell me if I said it right. I prefer to see the nurse practitioner, the PA, when I go to see my primary. It is easier to get in, and the NP takes time to listen. Everyone is better off, and they are great at it, have a lot more practice. Well, I'm going to tell you, my primary care provider is, in fact, a physician. Because that's who I see, because I'm comfortable with him. Would I go see a nurse practitioner? Sure. When my kid got what I suspect is food poisoning yesterday, sushi. He was eating sushi. He was eating raw salmon. My suspicion is that some sushi chef did not wash his hands after he wiped his butt and then touched my kid's salmon roll. My husband disagrees. We can agree to disagree, but he's wrong. So anyway, he saw a nurse practitioner. I trusted her judgment, and, he's getting better today. That's that. Why would we, why would we remove such a huge asset from primary care from veterans? I mean, veterans need access to a primary care provider, and frankly, we've been using PAs for years, nurse practitioners, and physicians. And the only difference here is that, in 21 states, nurse practitioners can open up a clinic by themselves and practice. The only thing that would actually happen is that nurse practitioners would be able to, practice in the federal system like they can practice outside in the, as we say in federal government, the real world. That's the difference. This is not some sort of way to scam veterans out of medical care. This is to expand access to primary care. And I think that, anything that gets a veteran into the VA faster for me is a win. But, what do you say? They slanted it just totally like they were doing something to abuse veterans. But I work in a place where there's apparently an employee who calls Fox News every time they renovate a room and takes pictures of the room that's all dismantled. And, veterans have to get their food out of the refrigerator in this room that's being redecorated, by the way. Yes, the tiles off the floor in the refrigerator is in fact plugged in the room, but we're not taking the pudding out of the refrigerator and smearing it on the floor, scooping it back up, and delivering it to the veteran. There you go, sir. Have some pudding and gravel and glue. No, that's not what was happening. And even more than that, the nurses were keeping their lunches in that refrigerator, so it was probably safe. So I have been met by news trucks going into work a half dozen times the last couple of years. And again, as I always say, what people don't realize is that the VA is actually held to a higher standard than the private sector. You go to try to get an appointment with a new doc. It's going to take you 3 or 4 months sometimes, depending on the doctor. I mean, if you got a new doctor, fresh out of medical school, not medical school, residency, fellowship, whatever, and they don't have a real practice, well, then it'll be easy for you to get in. But an established doctor, my doctor doesn't even accept new patients at all. You have to be a family member or a friend and refer the patient to my doctor because he's not taking any new patients. He's too busy. So 3-4 months to get an appointment, a new patient appointment with a physician, a new physician. And the VA has to get him in within 30 days or we are in big trouble. Big trouble in Little China. That's a movie. Let's see. Mary's still chatting with me. Bedecker is pronounced like Whitaker. Bittaker. Brutal name. You are correct. I hate butchering anybody's name, so thank you. I totally agree that NPPA use at the VA is great. I think we should just ignore faux news. Well, it's funny. I did an interview with them for this series they're doing on healthcare errors, and I talked about some healthcare errors that I had seen, and they asked me if I agreed with the numbers and all this stuff. And let's face it, my opinion, that and a dime will get you. Wait, you can't even get a phone call for that anymore. But and I hope I'm better represented than the VA was in that news report. I mean, that's just ridiculous. This is MRSA. My friend Kelly gave me this. Kelly Rieger. You've seen her on Show Me Your Stethoscope. She does a whole bunch of our marketing stuff. Superbug. God. Attention span, non-existent. This is E. coli. Oh, wait. This is probably what my kid has. E. coli. That's not a flagella. I wonder what that is. I wonder if it tells me on this card. Oh, no, it is flagella. Can twirl around, propelling it forward at the bacterial equivalent speed of a torpedo. Okay, enough of that. So, I am like super confused about that whole situation with the VA. So, maybe we need to like, I don't know, maybe they should have to recant that. I mean, there's a petition for that too, come to think of it. Hold on a minute. I think Sandy Summers has it on her page. I'll post that in the comments too. I can do that. All this technology. Yeah, Sandy runs The Truth About Nursing and Bus Myths and like Crusades. She's a cool lady. Sandy Jacobs Summers, by the way. Hold on. Here it is. It's on change.org as well. And it has 3,300 people on it. That's respectable, especially when you consider how many nurses there are. So let's paste that into chat. And that's for making Fox News say they're sorry and maybe report the correct story, because quite honestly, that's kind of a big diss to all of us at the VA. We work our butts off. And most of the people I have worked with at the VA work their butts off for the veterans. And they understand that what they're doing, it's to the right of my YouTube screen. Yes. Yes, that's standard. Your chat should be kind of to the right of your YouTube screen if you're on desktop. Thank you, Mary Bittaker, with the correct name. All right. So, we do actually work our butts off, believe it or not. I mean, there are slow days. There are fast days. There are crazy days. There are days when our veterans aren't as easy to deal with as other days. But I love every day because I know what I'm doing is actually taking care of people who already wrote a check for an amount up to and including their lives for me. And I really, I don't know, I feel pretty honored to be able to take care of them. Maybe that's sappy and whatever, but I do. I feel honored. It's not just a job for me. I care about these dudes. They're awesome. And I don't know. You know, it's kind of hard working in a place that's so public sector and so in the limelight. And it's appropriate for the public to keep an eye on the VA because we have a really, really hard, not hard. It's a sacred trust. It's a public trust. It's something that your tax dollars pay for us to do. And we should be taking good care of these guys. And it's okay for you to check up on us. As a matter of fact, I'm a vet too, so totally fine with me. But sometimes it's good to like assume that people want to do the right thing and not that they want to like do the jerky jackass thing. Okay? It's somebody just asked me how things were going in a private message. I just sent her the live stream. That's Amanda. So, sometimes we would really appreciate it if you would assume that we wanted to do the right thing for the veterans, that we weren't trying to get out of doing things for the veterans, that we wanted to take care of them to the best of our ability, and for that matter, that our doctors really want to work at the VA, because there are advantages and disadvantages for physicians at the VA. There's a lot of red tape just like the Air Force has to put in XXX requests to get a plane, we have to do the same thing for a pacemaker. Okay? I mean, there's a lot of paperwork involved in the government. There's a lot of red tape. There are a lot of policies that are not actually suited to hospitals that we have to follow. And, I mean, it's just silly. It's like we have to like put a consult in for an implant when we have no idea what it's going to be. And it's like a purchase order type thing. I don't understand how that works. But we have to do it anyway. And there's a lot of red tape and there's a lot of this and that, but there is no better place to take care of human beings, because they are terrific human beings. And I don't know, like I said, I'm just grateful to do it. So there you go, all mushy. But there's that saying, people think that like they look for heroes like at professional sporting events and movie stars, in a movie theater. But I look for my heroes in the lobby of the VA hospital every morning when I go to work, because that's where they live. So, it's just true. Those are the guys, man. Love them all. And some guys were in the military for a week, literally. And some were in the military for, 20, 30 years. And to me, they all stepped up and said, yes, I will. And I'm very grateful for that. Let's see. The veterans we take care of in ICU can't wait to get transferred out to you guys when they leave ICU. They love their VA nurses. Well, you know why that is, Mary. It's because we spoil them rotten. We do. And we like it. We love our veterans spoiled rotten. Yeah, I'm saying it. And I was an ICU nurse who liked unconscious patients for a long time. I love talking to these guys. They're great. They have such great stories. We're losing a lot of our World War II vets now, but I just love the stories. The stories are awesome. I mean, and the things they did, they very rarely talk about the wartime things they did, but they do talk about the funny things that happened on base, and they talk about, all the cool stories that they have, just through their lives. We're talking about guys who are, 80 years old, and they have a different perspective than we do. I mean, the world is a pretty confusing place when all the, technology is just in the last, 20, 30 years, and they've kept up with it. I see an 80-year-old vet with a smartphone all the time. They're getting on the internet. They ask me what my name is on Facebook because they want to chat later. They're funny. They're great guys. And like I said, we're losing a lot of them. And I'm not so jaded yet that I hope I never am. That our announcement over the loudspeaker that happens when one of our vets passes away, they say, I'll get it wrong. At the VA St. Louis, we honor our veterans in death and in life. A hero is making his final journey. And they tell you to, put your hand over your heart or render a salute, or, whoever you are, to do these things, to stop. And they bring them down to where they need to go, draped with the flag. And, believe me, I still get a tear when I see one of them. And when I hear that announcement. And I know it's probably one of our World War II guys. And, God. We're sad to lose them. We're happy they've gone on to where they may have wanted to be or whatever. But, okay, so I'm on the VA. So anyway, when I'm back to the VA thing, it's okay for nurse practitioners to see veterans as their PCP. No better place in the whole world for a nurse practitioner to practice their craft. You have plenty of backup. It's an academic institution, really. I mean, you're tons of fellows and residents and everybody around. It's great stuff. It's a great learning environment. And frankly, the VA sees a lot of stuff. Like weird stuff Okay, my father-in-law, before he passed away, he had lymphangitis carcinomatosis, which is essentially the lymph channels are all like cancered up, and it spreads through the body like gas on a fire, basically. And do you know how many physicians had never seen this? I mean, his room was a popular place. He also had the courtesy to be the one literally in a million allergy to talc. Don't drink Diet Coke, kids. It's like probably got garbage in it, but I'm going to have some. So he had the one in a million allergy to it, like this talc that they use for pleurodesis. So they basically put a catheter between the pleura of the thoracic cavity and the lung, and they blow this talc, sterile talc, into the cavity, and it essentially burns the whole cavity, so it stops producing the fluid for the malignant pleural effusion that he had. So you don't, like drown or can't breathe. You know what I'm saying? You walk around totally out of breath all the time. And that's not cool. So they did that. And of course he had the common courtesy to help train our future doctors by, almost dying of it. Yeah. Then they wound up putting a Pleurex drain in, which, by the way, also drains the pleura of the lung because it didn't work, I mean, his talc pleurodesis didn't work, so they wound up putting in a Pleurex catheter. So, they also got to learn about that, placing Pleurex catheter. So I was like, oh, Dad, what a good job. Way to educate the masses. He thought it was hysterical. He did die shortly after. He died like 31 or 28 days after diagnosis in March of 2012, March 10th. But you know what? The VA was really good to him. Really good. And they took care of him when he was sick, and he was, a PTSD sufferer, and they took care of him for that. They took care of him for everything. And you know what? His primary care provider was not a physician. It was a PA. He saw nurse practitioners, he saw physicians, he saw PAs, and they took great care of him. So I think it is okay for us to make official in the VA what is standard practice in the private sector. So that's what all that was about. So if you want to express your ire with Fox or anything, yes, Mary, it was really painful, he said. Of course, he went into AFib RVR. Well, first he respiratory arrested, and then, of course, he was a smoker, so he had his telemonitor off when he went to go smoke after this invasive procedure, because you couldn't tell him no. And then he, came back and respiratory arrested and went into AFib RVR and, was ticking along at 200 plus, and, we had to decide whether we were just going to let it ride out or medicate him. And of course, I'm his medical power of attorney, right? I'm like, oh man, I hate adulting. And, we wound up giving him the antiarrhythmics he needed that day, and he got to come home and die at home. So that was awesome, because that's what he wanted. And we are all into, how people want to die, as opposed to how they sometimes die, which is pretty grisly, as lots of critical care nurses know, and lots of long-term care nurses know, and lots of LTAC. Yeah, you guys. Nobody ever brings up the LTAC. He didn't want to die in a vent with a trach in a hospital. He wanted to die at home, frankly, with a cigarette and a beer in his hand. And he didn't quite die like that, but it was comfortable and his family was around him. And the VA, by the way, facilitated that. Hospice at home. We actually took him out of the ICU. First, we brought a selection of cheese and crackers and things to his ICU room, and beer, and we all hung out. And then we, frankly, were afraid he was going to die on the way home. Okay? And then we brought him down to an ambulance, and they let him smoke a cigarette before he got in the ambulance because that's all he wanted. Darn cigarette. Well, since your lungs are already gone, let's just go ahead and have that cigarette, Dad. And then he, we took him home, and I thought he died on the way home. My sister-in-law and I were in the ambulance, and she was pregnant and got car sick. And I get car sick when I'm not pregnant. I get car sick all the time. I can't even ride in the back of a car, like a stable little car. I'm in the back of this ambulance, swaying all over the road. I almost threw up, and I looked down, and Dad was blue. And of course I wasn't going to say anything. He was a DNR. We weren't going to start resuscitating him, but then all of a sudden he went and looked around, and then he rallied. It was this wild thing. But yeah, we took him home right out of the ICU. Straight home. We're like, look, what do we got to do to get him out of here? He doesn't want to die here. You know what he wanted me to do? He wanted me to put him in his RV and take him to Montana because he'd never been there. I'm glad we didn't do that because we would have had to unfortunately pack him in ice on the way home. I say that as a joke, and it is, and he would have loved it. So there. But oddly, my family is super crazy anyway, and we put on his headstone the following quote. Besides the fact that he was John Garner, and he was a Purple Heart and Bronze Star veteran of Vietnam, we put anything worth doing is worth overdoing, because that is exactly the kind of person he was. So anyway, so now that we've life storied that, yeah, so that was kind of a different nursing experience for me, but I want to say that, the VA made all that happen for him, so not too bad. Yeah, so CRNAs, nurse practitioners, awesome people. There are reasons that someone should see a doctor instead of a nurse practitioner or a PA. There are reasons. Specialists, complicated courses. There are reasons. But don't just count nurse practitioners out as primary care, and don't act like it's not happening already. So silly. Ridiculous. Fox News, shame, naughty on you. Bad. Bad, bad, bad. All right. So, okay. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, yeah. Those runs and things. The walks and the runs. So, I am going to participate in the virtual walk for patient safety. It's a virtual walk because basically, honestly, because we didn't have time to do it. Do a real one. And also this year, Patient Safety Day, which is on July 25th, is on a Monday. So we're not going to get a whole bunch of people out to do that stuff on a Monday, but we can have a virtual walk and fundraise, and that's my classy fundraising link right there. And you can donate to mine, which is me and the SS, like a ship, right? The SMYS admin team. We're all going to be kind of together in a team, and we're going to decimate the walk admin team. So, no mercy. No mercy. Do you hear that? It is on. So we're working on that. Patient Safety Day is it's a big day in the advocacy community. Wow, I can talk. Okay, my mouth's dry, and this is making it worse. Anything for more Diet Coke. I would like some coffee too, but I did not sleep well last night, so we're going to skip that. So, big day in the advocacy community. People who have been harmed by medical errors, people who have been misdiagnosed, things like that. So those are like the patient advocate people. And one of the things the advocacy community is really getting into now is what? Safe staffing. Because they know that you guys, us, are completely and totally irreplaceable for keeping patients safe. And as a matter of fact, that when a nurse has an inappropriate ratio, nurse to patient ratio, the chance of death for the people who she's taking care of or he is taking care of, equal opportunity. Male nurses, are actually 7% more likely to have an adverse event happen. Like die. Yes, die. 7% more likely when a nurse has too many patients. So the advocacy community is listening to this. They say, wait, studies have been done. My loved one is actually more likely to be a victim of a medical error if their nurse has a ridiculous number of patients, which you probably will tonight when you go into work, right? Right. So, yeah, so big day. That's why we're having the virtual walk on 7/25. There have been questions. Questions have been asked. Mistakes have not been made this time. It's on purpose. It's a big day for a lot of those people. So we're doing that. But the Classy fundraising platform is actually it's really user friendly. So you can make your own fundraising page in about 30 seconds. No kidding. And it will all go toward, go toward this huge conglomeration of people that we hope will participate in the virtual walk. And then that money that we raise, we hope, will go toward the physical walks that we're going to have in cities across the country. So that's what it's for. Also, we plan on using some of it for something toward the advocacy community. Not sure what yet. Something. We haven't really hashed that part out yet. We're hoping that we actually make some money before we have to figure out what to do with it. There you go. So, basically, that's kind of all that's going on in my life right now, guys. I think I've been on this for like a year and a half. How long have I been streaming? I don't know. The dashboard doesn't tell me. My kid altered my dashboard, and now I have really no way to tell how anything happens at all. Okay, great. So, in my opinion, when the family members of these patients start to pay attention to the staffing and hear us, the hospitals are going to get a huge reality check. I agree. That is exactly what is going to happen. People will, if they will say, how many patients are you taking care of today, nurse? And how many patients would you be taking care of if we were in California? Good question, right? When you're a tele patient and your nurse has 6 other patients, there's 7 of you. And in California, you'd be getting 4-to-1 care, which, by the way, would be a lot more personal and give your nurse a lot more time to think about, well, you and your disease process. That would be a whole nother thing. That's okay, Amanda. That's fine. I'm about to get off here anyway. I have bored these people for long enough. But yeah, that's exactly what needs to happen, Mary. You're right. Okay, so too much talking, not enough you guys making dinner for your families or getting ready for work tonight. So great to talk to you. I'll probably live stream over the weekend. Oh, Twitter party over the weekend. Details in SMYS for Change or on our website at smysofficial.com. My blog is under the news section. For some reason, they all decided that, Janie no longer needed, the headline spot on the blog, which is probably good. On the website, rather. Because there's way more to our website than just Janie's blog. It's just that I attract the most hits. Right, webmaster? Alex Hopper? So, yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on. So check out the website, donate to the virtual walks and stuff. And, I hope you decide to come out and do one of the real events, because guess what? Your Show Me Your Stethoscope administrative team will be showing up at these walks, different ones, different people. You never know who might get a last minute deal from, Southwest Airlines or whatever. So definitely, keep an eye, and we will be seeing you out there on the road when we save Pat. So see you this weekend for the Twitter party, or as I like to call it, a Twitter bomb, but Jaleel says I'm violent. So you guys have a wonderful, awesome, terrific, great day, and I'm trying to figure out how to turn the stream off. Ooh, Found the button. You guys be good.